All right, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem L'chak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Um, this is an article published May 23rd. Okay, just today, Saturday. And here it says, Trump's team considered first nuclear test since 1992 as show of strength to Russia and China. All right. And immediately when I saw this, all right, I thought in my head that this isn't, you know what I'm saying, like, this isn't just going to be a show of strength. This is one of those things that you do with one intention, but it actually leads to something else. You know, you had the intention of doing it as a means of this, but it drags you in to do more because according to prophecy, Trump is not going to scare Russia and China and Iran out of you know what I'm saying scare them out of whatever mindset the Lord has put in their minds. No, he's not. Okay. So it says here, US authorities considered whether to carry out a rapid nuclear test, the first for almost 3 decades. All right. So out of nowhere, you just decide, hey, and now think about it. For those who don't think that World War III is coming and such, what would possibly make them want to just out of nowhere in a time of peace? Here it is. We're dealing with a pandemic, right? That should be the main focus. But now you're thinking about testing a nuclear, all right, doing a nuclear test for the first time in almost 30 years. Hmm. It says to use as a bargaining chip in dealing with Russia and China, according to media reports. But when you that's not a bargaining chip, you know. When you try to show off in an attempt to, like, it's almost like a bluff, as in an attempt to scare the other person into an agreement. But it turns out that the other person is also tough, so they don't fall for it, and they take that as a means of, oh, okay, so you trying to really get this on. Well, what do you think that's going to lead to? Because according to the scriptures, he man, Trump himself doesn't even know why. All right, they're considering doing this nuclear test because the Most High put it in their mind to do so if they do this nuclear test. Because at the end of the day, you know what this is going to lead to is going to lead to a full blown war. All right, when all is said and done, this place is going to be melted with nuclear missiles. All right. So yeah, you got people worried about the coronavirus and all this other stuff, but that's only gonna lead up, all right, to ultimately things being finished up with this war. Okay. So just when you think you made it out of it, oh, I survived the chip, I survived the Jacob's trouble and all that, and you got the missiles. The Most High is gonna make sure that if you're not of the elect, you're not getting off of this soil. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not of the elect, you're gonna serve your judgment. All right. There is no escape. So it says, the proposal to cause a controlled nuclear explosion is very much on an ongoing conversation. A high-ranked official within the administration of Donald Trump told the Washington Post on Saturday. It was assumed that a rapid test could prove useful in making Moscow and Beijing negotiate a nuclear weapons-related trilateral deal with Washington. The paper's sources said. So basically, it's supposed to make them see, hey, look, U.S. got nuclear weapons, and we don't want to start a nuclear war and have mad mutually assured destruction. So let's just calm down and sign this treaty. Now, if the Most High makes them sign the treaty, that's not going to stop the prophecy of the war from starting. Okay, but what you notice is the Most High sets things up in advance. So as one prophecy is taking place, he's setting up another. All right, so that it can flow, all right, in sequence and right on point. And like the scriptures say, it is set for an appointed time, and at the time it shall speak and not lie. All right, so it says the rationale. Yeah, let me see this. It says the rationale behind the United States holding its first test for this kind of this kind since 1992 involves a convenient allegation that Russia and China have resumed testing low-yield nuclear munitions. So far, however, there is no publicly available evidence sustaining the claims the Post itself noted. Now, think about this, right? If your enemy, you find out that your enemy is buying guns and he's training and all these things, all right, and you start doing the same thing, Do you think that you doing the same thing is gonna make that enemy think that, oh, maybe he doesn't want to fight, so let me chill? No. Well, that's just gonna lead to you ending up having a shootout with whoever it is. You know. So it says the plan was apparently floated on May 15th, but it was ultimately decided to shelve the resumption of nuclear testing for now. There are still some professionals in the room who told. Now you got to understand that there's a reason why you hear about news of World War III, then it calms down, then you hear about it, then it calms down, because it's not time yet. All right, there's still a major prophecy that needs to be fulfilled before the prophecy of the World War can come to pass, and that's that RFID microchip. All right, the mark of the beast spoken about in Revelation the 13th chapter, the 16th verse. All right, that needs to come to pass before the destruction can ultimately hit this place. Because as it tells you in Revelation 14 and 9 on down, the destruction is also going to be a judgment for those who take the chip. Now, if the chip hasn't been pushed, how can the judgment come for those who take it? So it says there are still some professionals in the room who told them this is a terrible idea. Thank God um, an unnamed congressional aide told The Guardian. The scheme, dismissed as unworkable and dumb, see, received critical acclaim from the National Nuclear Security Administration and State Department, which refused to come on board, because they're like, what you're basically gonna provoke them, you know? Putting nuclear devices on trial is generally prohibited under the 1996 Nuclear Testing and Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, signed by 184 nations. Russia ratified the accord 4 years later. The U.S. didn't do so, but chose to adhere to its moratorium on nuclear tests, which is still in force for the time being. Exactly, for the time being. Now, if you've noticed, there's been a pattern of these nuclear treaties being done away with, and one just goes through another, which goes through another, and it's just like the different security walls between a war are being broken down. And when there's no more walls left, what do you have? A war. So it says Washington has already rid itself of two vital arms control agreements in recent years. In 2019, the Trump administration quit the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty with Russia, which banned short and medium range ballistic missiles. The U.S. cited alleged violations by Moscow, a claim that Kremlin denied, pointing out that ditching the landmark accord was a pre-planned action by the U.S. administration. Anyway, that's it on that. Yeah, and then it talks about the Open Skies Treaty, which the U.S. announced that they were going to pull out of, and really what it is that is ruffling feathers in the European Union, all right, because the European allies are saying, yo, you know what I'm saying, like, what are you doing? Like, we're not going to follow you. I know Germany said that. They said, look, we're not going to follow you on every whim, all right, because now you know what I'm saying, you making some very rash decisions here, and we're not willing to put our country at risk of a nuclear war because of what you want to do. All right, anyway, let's get into the scriptures. So this is Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. All right, and as we always break it down, when you go into the word heart, it actually means your mind. All right, it's not talking about the physical organ. So the king's heart or the king's mind, all right, it's in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will, almost like a puppet master. Okay, so whatever, you know, Trump comes out, or and the king represents a ruler, a president, prime minister, whatever you want to call it. So whatever they come out and plan and think that they want to do, guess what? The Lord is ultimately doing that, and the perfect precept for that, to back that up, is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. All right, because check this out. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. Right? Now, when you devise iniquity and work evil upon your beds, you're plotting. But when you plot, what do you use? You use your mind to plot. You think about different ways you can get something done, like how these elites think about their New World Order. All right, what can we use? How can we get it here? Well, guess what? This applies to them as well. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. So the mind of these elites, even them themselves, is in the hand of the Lord. So all their plots, all right, is the Most High who put into their mind to think that way. All right, that shows you the power of the Almighty God, because He he has control over the left hand and the right hand side. All right. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. How is it in the power of their hands? Because the Most High gave it to them for a reason, so they can fulfill prophecy. So, like it says here, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So whatever thoughts come into their mind that they want to do, it's because the Most High put the spirit on them to think that way. So they might come out and say, well, you know what I'm saying, Trump and Russia have a good relation, Trump and Putin have a good relationship, and things are going good and stuff. And then out of nowhere, the Most High puts a thought in Putin's mind or in Trump's mind, and they become sudden enemies because it's not up to them. They might want an alliance, but that's not what the Most High wants. All right, things happen according to the will of the Lord. Next one, Proverbs 20 and 24. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? And the thing about this precept is, you might think that you do what you want to do. You go where you want to go. You know, if I want to eat chicken today, I'm gonna go to the store and buy chicken and eat some chicken. But why do you want to eat chicken today? Did you ever think about that? You know, why did you end up at this specific store to buy chicken? What made you want to go to Stop and Shop or Whole Foods or wherever you went, KFC, to get chicken from there? You don't know that. Okay, you might think you want to do something. You might end up somewhere else because it's not up to you. Your steps are directed by the Most High without you even realizing it. You know, that's why it says, how can a man then understand his own way? You can't. Okay. So anyway, this is in relating this to the article. All right, whatever they do, all right, whatever Trump or Israel is gonna do to cause this war to start, all right, or whatever the U.S. is gonna do to cause their allies to turn on them according to prophecy. Okay, that's not. It's gonna be the Most High, all right, putting it into their mind and stirring things up to fulfill prophecy. All right, and that's going to lead to this. This is Joel 3 and 9. And it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Now, who are the Gentiles? The Gentiles are basically heathens, non-Israelites. And this world war, all right, the main powers who are going to be fighting in this war are going to be the Gentiles. All right, until Yahushua comes back. But yeah, you're going to have Jakes, you're going to have Israelites fighting in their armies. But we as a nation, we're not in this war. Okay, we're not in this war. We're not in this World War III. We don't have a seat at the UN. Okay, we don't have a military. We don't have nuclear weapons. We don't have any of that. All right. So this is a war of the Gentiles until Yahushua comes back and tears them down. So it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. All right. And who are the mighty men? These the militaries. Okay. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. All right. And this is basically what? An arms race. Okay. When you try to gather as much, weapons and technology to put you in the best position, like it says, let the weak say I'm strong. As you try to do that, okay, and beat the other party to it. All right. Now, plowshares and pruning hooks, those are agricultural weapons. Not weapons, but agricultural tools. Okay, so it says beat your plowshares into swords. That doesn't mean you're gonna take a hammer and you're gonna hit your plowshare until it turns into a sword. All right, or your pruning hook until it turns into a spear. That's figurative talk. All right, because now instead of investing in things that are beneficial to the agriculture and daily life, now these nations are investing their money into their military. All right, into their weapons, into their nuclear weapons, their nuclear arsenal, their missile defense systems. All right, that's how you have certain countries that may be small, but they out here, acting like they're tough because now they got their hands on nuclear weapons. Okay, it says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together. Now this is the will of the Lord. All right, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up. Now, what does that mean? Because for the longest you've had peace in fear of mad, mutually assured destruction. All right. But now the Lord is stirring up that spirit in these nations. All right. And you're going to have this war. Hey, it might start with two parties, but you have things like alliances. So certain parties get drawn into the war because of that. It says, "Let the heathen be awake, be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat." Now, what is the valley? Where is the valley of Jehoshaphat? The valley of Jehoshaphat, or the valley of decision, is in the Middle East. Okay, Yahweh Shaphat, which is the Lord's judgment. Okay, because that's where, well, we're gonna read it. "For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about." All right, "Put ye in the sickle." Hey, and a precept for this is let me get that, Daniel 2. Okay, Daniel chapter 2 verse, should be around the 30 something verse. Uh, yep. This is Daniel 2 and 34. It says, "Thou sowest till that a stone was cast out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, and that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces." Now that stone represents Yahushua. All right, hey, they call him what, the chief cornerstone. Okay, but that stone represents Yahushua, and the feet represent the system we in today. All right, the beast system. So it says he broke them. Now check it. "Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together." All right. Now the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold. These represent, when you read above the statue, these represent the different empires. All right, that once were. Okay, you had the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Persians, the Medes, the Greeks, the Romans. All right. Now these empires consist of different nations. Now today they don't go by those names of those empires, but they're broken up into many different countries and nations. But if they were put together, they would form back those empires again. And those are those nations, those heathens who are going to be gathered into the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right. And like it says, "There will I sit to judge all the heathen round about." Well, when Yahushua comes back as that stone, okay, it says, "Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found of them, or found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth." And that stone was Yahushua, because after he takes this place down, all right, after the Lord sits there and judges the heathen, now he's going to take over the kingdom. As the scriptures say, the saints shall take the kingdom. Um, Now let me see, because I think he breaks it down. Uh, okay, let me see. All right, verse 44. It says, "And in those days, and in the days of these kings, shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom." All right, and that's that like we read here about that mountain that grew and basically took over the whole earth. That's the kingdom. All right, it says, because a mountain represents a government. So it says, "Set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." And that's our kingdom. All right. Um. So anyway, going back here, it says, "Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great." So now is the time. All right, now is the time for judgment. Now is the time for that war, that nuclear war. It says, "Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision." And what's going to happen in that day? I got one last precept. All right, Revelation chapter 19. And we're going to go all the way down to all right. Revelation chapter 19, verse, I start at 11, I'll jump down. It says, "And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness doth he judge and make war." Now, this white horse, all right, it represents Yahushua's chariot, all right, because white represents purity and horse represents power, okay? So Yahushua ain't gonna come on a literal horse, a literal white horse, okay? It says, "And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True," and that's Yahushua. All right. It says his eyes were as a flame of fire. When you read in Revelation 1, it tells you in part of the description, all right, of Yahushua, it tells you that, all right, and his head, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of God. John 1 tells you who the Word is. All right. Now I'm gonna jump down and see what Yahushua does. Verse 19. And I saw the beast. Remember, the beast represents this system. All right, Esau's system, NATO and the EU. Okay, which is also in Daniel 2 as the feet. Okay, it started off as the Roman Empire. All right, and then now today is what we have today as this system. Okay, it says, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth, which are the gold, the brass, the iron. All right, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Because these nations are gonna come together in the valley of Jehoshaphat. They're gonna come to fight each other, but Yahushua is gonna make his return. All right, they're gonna see what this world knows as an alien invasion, and you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna stop fighting each other, and they're gonna fight against him. That's why it says they would gather together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army, because Yahushua is coming with the heavenly host, the angels. It says, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, and that beast represents, like I just mentioned, the system, and the false prophet represents all the Catholic Church, these different false religions out here set up to deceive you, okay? But mainly that Catholic Church, all right? It says that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast. And what's that? That chip. All right. And them that worship his image, which is this system, these both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. All right. And the remnant that were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceedeth out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. And that sword is not literal. The sword represents the lasers that are coming out of his chariot. All right. You can read about that in Habakkuk. You can also read about that in the book of Second Esdras. Okay. But anyway, that's the point. That's what's gonna happen. All right. All this right here. The reason we read these articles, and you have certain people that read it and be like, oh, okay, whatever. But we read these articles and bring it out because we know that these are steps, all right, closer and closer to the prophecy of that war. Okay. And actually, let me just third woe cometh. All right. This is Revelation 11 and 4. It says the second woe was past. The second woe was World War One. Salakia, World War Two. It says, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, and that third woe is this third world war. Okay, so we understand that's what's going to happen according to prophecy. So when we read these articles, we know what the end game is, what it's going to lead to. That's why we bring it out to edify, all right, the sheep, all right, and inform those who don't know. Anyway, with that, I hope this is edifying unto the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.